morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at the buy list from the new Rebel Clash expansion. You see, Rebel Clash is out today. And I always bring you a buy list on the day that Rebel Clash, or indeed any new set comes out. Today is that day. Now remember our usual rules. I am only going to suggest Pokemon V if I think they are tech cards that you need to pick up for essentially any deck of a particular type. Otherwise, they're too expensive, get them if you want them. And I'm going to suggest cards which I think are needed. I'm not going to suggest Phalanx in this video. I am going to go and buy a playset of Phalanx because I think the new Phalanx is awesome. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, if there's a card I'm not suggesting on here that you want, go and get it. If there's a card I'm suggesting that you don't want, don't. Although do remember that when I'm suggesting an evolution, you will need to pre-evolution. My goal here is to try and make sure that you've got the cards for any deck you may want to build, other than specific single deck attackers, which you'll have to figure out yourselves. So starting off then, in set order, I think you need 2 copies of Eldegoss V. I know it's a Pokemon V, but Eldegoss V is a card whereby you play it onto the bench, and then you get to grab yourself a supporter card and put it into your hand. It is brilliant for mid to late game consistency, reusing supporters, etc. You're gonna need a couple of these. I think you need 4 copies of FLAPPLE. It's mostly for the ability here, but you get to drop 2 damage counts on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then shuffle it back into your deck. This could fit into so many decks moving forward. Similarly, you need 2 to 4 copies of APPLETUN. It's a Pokemon catcher on basic Pokemon. It is flip a coin. If heads, switch one of your opponent's benched basic Pokemon with their active. You're probably never going to play a 4-4 line of this, but I could see this fitting into a lot of decks. I think you need 1 or 2 Ninetales V, and again, I know it's a Pokemon V, but the reason I'm suggesting it is I think this should be a 1 or 2 of in almost every fire deck moving forward. The 4 energy, 180 discarded energy is not terribly exciting, nobody particularly cares. But the 3 energy, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and copy it, is brilliant. It lets you basically use any attack of your opponent's. Yes, that does include GX attacks, but remember it does also copy the cannot use any more GX attacks for the game part of it. I think you need 1 or 2 copies of Mr. RIME, because it's got the ability Screen Cleaner. Prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to all your Pokemon with energy attached. So anytime your opponent's relying on special conditions, energy removal, automatic KOs, etc., this is a catch-all silver bullet to those strategies. Anything they're trying to do other than damage you can stop, and it's why you need a couple in your binder ready to roll. Apologies, there are 2 more Pokemon Vs we need to mention. One of them is BOLTUND V. And again, it's because I see BOLTUND as a 1 or 2 of in a lot of Lightning decks. 1 Lightning Energy, search for 2 Lightning Energy and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like is fine. But really here it's 2 energy, 10 damage base, plus 30 more for each Lightning Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. If you get lots of energy out, and bearing in mind we got stuff like Pikachu and Zekrom and Tapu Koko Prism Star that like getting extra energy out, this is going to be a really nice tech attacker. I think you need 2 to 4 copies of CLEFABLE, because it's got the ability Prankish. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may put an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon on top of their deck. Any big energy denial deck in the future is probably going to be using this one liberally, so you need to be ready. Now, one that I'm slightly less sure about, but I'm still putting on the list, is GALARIAN CURSOLA. I think you need 2 to 4 copies of this, and it's because it could be teched into almost any deck, but it also works beautifully in hit and run decks. The attack is meh, but the ability says if it is active and knocked out by damage, flip a coin. If heads, the attacking Pokemon is also knocked out. It retreats for free with Air Balloon, so any deck that hits and then goes to the bench anytime you need to buy time, etc., this can be a very good annoying Pokemon. I think you need 2 to 4 copies of COALOSSAL. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic fire and a basic fighting from one of your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way that you like. Yeah, that's pretty gosh darn good, ladies and gentlemen. It just accelerates 2 energy anywhere on the field. It's really good energy acceleration. It's very much like Volcavolt from Sun and Moon or Rillaboom from Sword and Shield. It's a kind of card you can imagine being used in a bunch of decks. You need 2 to 4 copies of Galarian Weezing. The ability says that while it's active, your opponent's Pokemon have no abilities other than an opposing Weezing. Now, 1 Darkness Energy quadruple poison is fine, but this is the only option we've really got for turning off abilities at the moment, so I can see it getting a lot of love. 2 to 4 copies of Garbodor. It's got the ability Poisonous Puddle. If there is a stadium in play, there always will be, you may make your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned. You can see that being teched into a bunch of decks. 2 to 4 Duraludon, I'm slightly less sure about. 1 energy, 30 damage, and you accelerate an energy. But if you ever need a Pokemon to start off your game in a metal deck, Duraludon is probably going to be your boy. I think you need probably 2 copies of Chatot. It's got the ability Lucky Match. When you play it from your hand onto your bench, flip a coin. If heads, you put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. You could use Mewtwo from Unbroken Bonds, but it does only put it on top of your deck, so you will need Oranguru from Sword and Shield on the bench to then draw into it. I think Chatot's going to be very good, and I think it's going to see some play. And similarly, you need 2 copies of GREEDENT, because it lets you search your deck for a Pokemon tool once during your turn. If you're ever relying on Pokemon tools, this is a card you're going to need. And finally, for Pokemon, you need 1 to 2 copies of DUBWOOL V. Free energy, and bearing in mind you can use any energy acceleration here, 120 base plus 30 more for each prize card your opponent has taken. If they've taken 5 prize cards, drop a reset stamp, put them down to a single card hand, and then start hitting for 270 damage. Yeah, a lot of games are going to be won with DUBWOOL V. Now, moving into trainer cards, my general rule is buy a playset of all of them, because you never know what's going to end up being good. There are 3, however, which are not new. Pokeball, Skylar, and Tool Scrapper are good cards, especially Tool Scrapper. But if you've been playing for a little while, you should have these cards anyway. So go and get them, but only if you don't already have them. I know a lot of players, myself included, will already have these. So you need 4 copies of Boss's Orders. Boss's Orders is phenomenal. It's the best gusting option we've got. It is going to be an absolute staple moving forward in basically every deck. You need 4 copies of it. 4 copies of Burning Scarf. It's a tool that burns your opponent's Pokemon when they attack. In any fire/burn deck, it's going to be pretty amazing. Remember, it only works on fire Pokemon. 4 copies of Capacious Bucket. Search your deck for 2 water energy and put them into your hand. It's a better energy spinner, but it only works for water decks, but you're probably going to use it in basically every water deck. Cursed Shovel is going to see a lot less play, but if it's knocked out by damage from an attack, you discard the top 2 card of your opponent's deck. I want to have 4 of these because I think it's going to be a good tech in a bunch of fun decks. Dan is a new draw supporter. You draw 2 cards, then play Rock, Paper, Scissors. If you win, you draw another 2. If you're good at Rock, Paper, Scissors, this is a really good draw card. If you're bad at Rock, Paper, Scissors, you could probably leave this one. Full Heal, I don't feel so strong about. It just removes special conditions, but it's exactly the kind of card where we turn around in 6 months to a year and there's loads of special conditions and everyone's playing it. So 2 to 4 of them. Galar Mine is one of the best stadiums we've had in a while. You need 4 of these. It increases the retreat cost of both active Pokemon by 2. This is going to see a lot of play in annoying decks. Milo lets you discard up to 2 cards from your hand and draw 2 for each one you discard in this way. It's a good new draw supporter. You need 4 of them. Nugget is an item card that lets you draw 3 cards, but there's a gigantic catch. You must draw it as your card at the beginning of your turn. Of course, you can use Oranguru to make sure that happens if you draw it any other way. So, I'm not saying this is going to see play in every deck, but I am saying it'll see enough play to warrant going to buy 4 of. OLEANA makes you discard 2 cards from your hand, and then your opponent reveals their hand, and you pick a trainer and put it on the bottom of their deck. It is weak hand disruption, but if you're playing a hand disruption deck, you're probably going to consider it. Scoop Up Net is one of the very best cards in the entire set. You pick up one of your non-GX, non-V Pokemon and put it into your hand. Great for reusing that Mewtwo we mentioned a moment ago. Great for using Galarian Zigzagoon over and over again to drop damage. Just a general really good card. Sonia is another good card. It lets you search for 2 basic Pokemon or 2 basic energy. It's not a phenomenal card, but I think it will be played in enough decks to warrant going and picking up a playset. Training Court lets each player during their turn pick up a basic energy and put it into their hand from their discard pile. There are going to be a bunch of decks that play this, and Turffield Stadium is another 4 of here. It lets you search for an evolved grass Pokemon, so in any grass deck this needs to be a serious consideration. Now there are also a bunch of special energy coming out, and I think you need a playset of all of these. Capture Energy is a colourless energy, but when you attach it to a Pokemon, you search for a basic and bench it. That's going to help with consistency. Horror Energy, when it's attached to a psychic Pokemon, you take 2 damage counters when you attack that psychic Pokemon. We've already seen this see a lot of love in Dragapult decks. Speed Energy, when you attach it to a lightning energy, you draw 2 cards. That is actually going to see a lot of play. People are really going to like this one, so this is one to pick up sooner rather than later, because in every lightning deck this is going to see quite a lot of play and quite a lot of love. And then Twin Energy is again one of the very best cards in the set. It is a special energy that when attached to a non-GX, non-V Pokemon is 2 colourless energy. Oh my wordy, this is going to see a lot of love. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There are all the cards I think you need to pick up from Rebel Clash, so you're prepared for whatever deck you want to make. Other than main attackers, which really are so specific to decks, it's just a case of figuring out which ones you think you're going to play, and then going and having a play. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. Which cards have I popped on here that you don't think I should have? Which cards haven't I popped on here that you think I should have? Go nuts in the comment section, but please remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.